sure if you don't pay up. Long nights had to stay up. Put in hours while you later. I can sit around and wait up. I'm gonna have to see you later. Giving tips like a waiter. Either tell them or you fade them. I'm in my element. Back in my element. 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 I'm in my element. Don't care about relevance. I'm doing me. I'm in my element. We the new delegate. Tapping and see. Back in my element, I'm in my element. 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 Don't care about relevance. I'm doing me. I'm in my element. We the new delegate. Tapping and see. I don't sit and worry about who's on. Back in my bag, there's a new on. Kettle on my wrist, it's a two-ton. Direct flight out to London. Then might slide out to Lisbon. Crossing borders, getting my stamps up. Travel light, everybody can come. Lay low, I don't want attention. Only show what you see. Never no cap in my rap. When I rap on the track, got me feeling like I'm in the league. Ease. I'm in my element. Don't care about relevance. I'm doing me. I'm in my element. We the new delegate. Tapping and see. I'm in my element. Back in my element. 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 This is easy as a layup. I don't show if you don't pay up. Long nights had to stay up. Put in hours. I can sit around and wait up. I'm gonna have to see you later. Giving tips like a waiter. Either tell them or you fade them. I'm in my element. Back in my element. 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 I'm in my element. Don't care about relevance. I'm doing me. I'm in my element. We the new delegate. Tapping and see.
All right, all right, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. Hope everybody's doing well today on this Wednesday. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage, all right? And as always, we want to make sure that we start our day out by taking massive action. And the action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for the outcome, centering yourself, body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trusting your education, strategy, trade skills, and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing, obeying your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right. So we are going to dive into some fundamental things, interesting developments overnight. And then we'll take a look at some charts, review some of the setups that came through the community. And then if you guys have any pairs that you have your eyes on, I want to take a look at those as well. So prepare those for me. Prepare to drop those in the chat for me. All right. So let's slide over to trading economics. Let's get rocking. And if everybody can hear me okay, drop me one in the chat. Beautiful. All right, cool. So UK inflation steady at 2%. All right. So the inflation rate has come back down and it stayed steady at 2%. Um, in June, same as May, holding at 2021 lows, although market forecasts were pointing to 1.9%. The lowest upward contribution came from costs of restaurants and hotels, namely hotel prices and services inflation remained high at 5.7%. So, what does this mean? The goal was 2%. They got there. But you got a high services inflation still, and it's above the expectation. So you got an interesting response in the market. We'll take a look at some of those pairs. But because it was above the expectation, um, the pound got a bit of a boost. Um, so we'll take a look at some of those things. And in some of the areas which we'll talk about as well, there was a decrease. But that's the pound, and you got the New Zealand dollar inflation rate. Um, Slowed to 3.3% in the second quarter of 2024 from 4% in March. Came slightly below market expectation of 3.5, marking the lowest reading since June, a quarter of 2021, led by, increases in housing and household utilities due to rising prices for rent and construction of new houses and rates. The next contributor to the rise um, was miscellaneous goods and services. Conversely, prices fell for household content and services. On a quarterly basis, prices rose by 0.4% in the 3 months to June, followed by a 0.6% increase in the previous period. So the New Zealand rate, inflation overall is coming down, even though on the quarter it increased a little bit, right? So this is in line with potential rate cuts coming sooner rather than later for the New Zealand dollar. So we saw some more weakness in that New Zealand dollar because of this data. All right. So leaning more towards cuts coming sooner rather than later for the NZD. I'm glad this popped up. The Japanese yen surged 1.3% across 156.5 per dollar on Wednesday, the highest in over a month, as market gauged the monetary policy outlook for the BOJ, the Fed, and how far Japan is willing to intervene to protect the yen's currency. Um, da, 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 da. The increase extended the surge from the end of the week last week that lifted the yen from 38-year lows from 162, as Japan is likely to have sold over 20 billion to prop up the currency. A large magnitude of the suspected intervention by the currency by the Minister of Finance, along with softness of the dollar from lower inflation data, drove the markets to consider betting against the yen, and is suspected to have triggered a bout of short squeeze on the currency, while the momentum of the rebound drove some investors to not discard another round of invention by Tokyo. On the monetary policy front, the BOJ is expected to announce its bond purchase tapering plans and possibly raise rates again. What this doesn't mention is last night, the Minister of Finance also stated in an interview that they won't hesitate to intervene again. So there's potential for another intervention with the yen. So the the Minister of Finance in the Bank of Japan, it sounds like they are starting to change the tone when it comes to the weakness of the yen. And until they get to their meeting, it sounds like they're willing to intervene as much as possible. Um, they said they're going to continue to watch for volatile movements, that whole spiel. But this is immediately coming off the back of 2 days of intervention. So this is something that's going to be an interesting development as we get closer to the end of the month. But it's they're trying to keep investors on their heels, right? To not push the currency any further. So we're going to continue to watch the yen and see what happens. But the move that you might be looking at on your chart is because late last night, early this morning, they did state that they will not hesitate to intervene again if needed. So that is the Japanese yen. And we got Bitcoin topping 65,000 as ETF inflows accelerate. All right, been talking about the ETF for a minute, so we'll continue to watch things on the crypto side as well. All right, so any questions from a fundamental perspective before we dive into the charts? Actually, no, hold on. Calendar, my bad. Apologies. CPI for the Canadian dollar came in at expectation or slightly below the median. The trim CPI came in just a bit above, so got a little bit of mixed data yesterday for the Canadian dollar. And retail sales came in flat, which is above the expectation for the dollar. And the core retail sales came in above expectation as well. Now, you still saw the dollar push to the downside as you had Donald Trump discussing his plans if he becomes president, which caused the dollar to run even further to the downside. So, yeah, that's the happenings from yesterday. And then you see the CPI data this morning. And then later on today, we got building permits. We got FOMC members coming to the microphones. Their conversation may be interesting. See what they have to say regarding inflation and future insight. Crude oil inventories, and then tonight you got Australian employment and unemployment rates. Um, mm, mm, mm. Yep. And then tomorrow, unemployment rate for the UK, and we got ECB policy statement. Okay. So expectation on this policy statement is to hold steady. There are some people that have been calling for additional cuts, so we'll watch and see what happens for the ECB tomorrow. Right, so we'll take a look at the euro pairs and kind of prepare for that as well. Um, yeah, so that's what we got for today and upcoming tomorrow. No questions. Hold on one second. All right. So over to the charts. DXY, right? We pushed down to that support level that we were talking about yesterday. We got a little bit of a retracement, and then we headed to the downside. So now my eyes are just looking to see if this level holds and we get a bounce, right? Or we break through this level today, tomorrow. So watching this closely to see how things transpire. Oops. Yeah, so that's where we are. That's where we are from a dollar perspective. Okay. So watching that there. But with this push down, you also had the dollar pairs then run to the upside. So it'll be interesting to see how things continue to develop. Um, yeah. So that's the dollar. Then this NZD-JPY push to the D extension. All right, we didn't get the retracement. Continue to move to the downside. Part of the larger 80-20 move. We'll clean all this up. My bad, everybody. Part of that larger 80-20 setup here. Not that one. Let's go back to the 4. Let's try this again. Oh, I had a larger fib on this one. There we go. Part of the larger 80-20 move here, right? So we're pressing down to the downside, no retracement. So we'll see what happens as we broke through this previous daily support level here. Trying to pull back a little bit, but this could be a retest and we could see a continuation to the downside. Okay. So let's continue to watch this develop and see how things go. But looks like we're continuing to the downside. So especially with that New Zealand news, right? That kind of helped this continue its trek to the downside as well. Right. So pushing down, we'll see if we get a retracement. I would personally love for a high price so that I can re-enter this short, but we're not there yet. So if you're sitting in this to the downside, kudos to you, right? If you're not, we need a high price. And if we don't get it, that's okay. Right. We'll wait on the next one. So that's where we are on this NZD JPY moving down. All right. Questions here. Oh, all right, cool. Let's go to the euros and we'll rock through these. We'll rock through these and then we'll circle back to the ends. This Euro Aussie is now on us trying to press back to the upside here. Okay. We got Aussie data coming tonight, right? But we stayed inside this AB boundary the whole time. We just pushed down to an 8-6 retracement. We got that consolidation and we turned over. So we're trying to break this middle trend line here. All right, we already got this on the daily time frame. We already got this inner trend line break. And we broke back above this 161,337 level. Now is do we get a pullback and a continuation, right? And what happens tomorrow, what Christine Lagarde's sentiment is. But what do we see there? Okay, what do we see there? Because we could, right? Potential for us to get a high price, and then based on her statement and the policy decision, this turns over and presses back down to the downside if it's more dovish, right? So we'll watch and see what happens here as we continue this move to the upside against the Aussie. All right, down to the 4. Right, similar to that daily, we just got that deep retracement here, right? And price turned over. And we're sitting right at that on the 4, we're sitting right at that middle trend line there. So I am still bullish on this, but it'll be interesting to see if I'm looking to see what the Aussie data looks like, because currently they're still talking about potential interest rate hikes. So that's why some of the data that comes out is going to be important to see. If the data supports that narrative still, right? And more of a sticky inflation situation in Australia. So watching that part closely, excuse me, to see what happens there. But right now we're pressing to the upside and we're going to trade what we see. We stayed inside the AB boundary on the daily and on the 4, right? And so right now we're pressing to the upside. Okay, so now we come down to the 1, and this is where we could see at least a retracement come, right? Fib running off the low, shallow retracement 118, 127 zone, pressing against that trend line. Okay, so that trend line coming off the top. So does that trend line hold us, and do we get a move back down to the downside? Okay. Do we get a retracement to come? Maybe at least test 161, but maybe we get that retracement to come a little bit deeper, right? So depending on how things go tomorrow, that could be the case. So watch this 80-20 here. We'll look for some additional confirmation on this, but we got an 80-20 scenario in line with the downtrend line, right? So we'll watch this action here. All right. Okay. So that's the 80-20 that we're watching there. See if we get a retracement to come. Okay. Questions on the Euro Aussie?
Oh,
Nope. Okay, cool. Got something on the last push up. Yeah, yeah. Um, you're looking for a move on the 4s, or you had a tight stop here on this. On a watch and see, right? 1 hour tight stop. Yeah, yeah. I dig it. I dig it. Let's watch and see how things go. Let's watch how let's see how things go. And there's your cloud there. Still bullish ahead there. So, all right. So that's the Euro Aussie, Euro CAD. We had this one posted in the community, right? As an idea, got posted yesterday. We did push a little further to the upside, right? But pushed into this next level of daily resistance at 149, 541. Okay. So boom. Now let's see if that level holds. That level got taken out. So we'll move that. And that's what we're looking at. All right. Next level of resistance there. Does that level hold and do we get a pullback here? Stochastic still in the sell zone. Okay. Coming out to the 4. Here you got your setup here, right? We were in that zone yesterday. We got to push to the upside. Let's see what happens here. Strong bullish action. Do we get price to turn over and press back down to the downside and give us the retracement that we're looking for? Okay. Da, 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 da. Yeah, with that Canadian data, right? It was mixed at first, and then we saw price start to rise last night. Okay, so we'll watch and see, but see if we get this retracement. Obviously, we got that rate statement coming tomorrow. That could give us additional insight there. Okay, so in a little bit of drawdown there on the 4, we come down to the 1, and there we are there, right? On the 1, we saw this consolidation yesterday, and this push to the upside just pushed us into that 118, 127 zone. So we got alignment as far as 80-20s on the 4-hour and the 1-hour. So we'll watch and see if this level is able to hold. You see that decision, indecision. See if we close with the decision candle to the downside. That'll give us our evening star pattern, right? Price pressing to the downside right now so far. Okay. So we'll continue to monitor this one and see how things transpire there. Okay. Yeah, but we're watching this for this 80-20 to develop on the 4-hour and the 1 hour. Okay, so keep your eyes here. If you're trading this off the 1, right, price is sitting in that sweet spot trying to turn over. If we get that nice bearish close, and that'll be a great opportunity for us to get short here. And we'll get those quant box images posted. I was having some issues logging in this morning, so that's why I'm not looking at that and looking at the two. Just because it has some login issues this morning, so we'll get those posted as well, so that we can see where the currencies are in alignment with the technical. So, but there we go. All right. Looking for them to move back down to the downside. Okay. Questions here? Oh, all right.
No.
Cool. Appreciate it. So there we are there on the Euro CAD, looking for a move down. Euro Swissy, it's turning over, right? Turning over. So here we took out this A on that push up. We'll run the fib off the low. And we're sitting at that B boundary. We're coming back down to that 96,942 level. Okay. So we'll watch and see how things move there. But down on the 4 is where we got our 80-20 scenario. You can see we're turning over. We're pressing against the cloud right now, but push firmly into that zone, and we're getting a turnover now. Okay. Let's see if we're able to get those lower highs and lower lows to continue moving to the downside. Give me 1 second, everybody. Got a bunch of noise happening in my background. Maybe that solved it. All right. So pressing down out of that 118, 127 zone, right? So the 80-20 is intact, moving to the downside. Okay. So here we'll look for a low price and then see if things align for us to get back long against that Swissy. Okay. Coming down to the 1. On the 1, right, we had that retracement already, but we could just come back down to these levels a second time. Okay. So tracking this one off of the 4-hour. That one didn't play out on the 1 previously, but tracking this off the 4 here. Okay, looking for that move back down to the downside. Questions on Euro Swiss? Make that clean.
Sometimes. No.
All right. Somebody had something?
No.
Oh, nope. Okay. That was the TV in the background sometimes. All right. Cool deal. Let's peek at the Euro GBP. I honestly haven't looked at it. I've just done my best to stay away from this pair. But here we are. Right? You continue to head down, continue to break lows, break and retest, and continue moving to the downside. Okay. Let me 1 second. Do that. All right. Continue to break and retest, right? We didn't get this bounce off the low and move back to the high. We continue moving to the downside, right? And it makes sense now with that pound data that we continue to push lower. So this trend line will adjust there. Boom. We're headed down, right? We got new lows. So next level is 83,415. Okay. We come down to the 4. Let's take these out real quick. Got that move back up. Take that out. Take that out. So we got a 50% retracement. Price pushed to the. Actually, no, that was the D extension there. We never got a reset, and now we're headed to the downside. So we're running new fib off the high here. Boom. Shallow retrace. Like we worked that 382. 4114. Just missed that 382 there, pushing down. We'll see what happens, but we could be in for this one, continue to move to the downside, getting us down to the matching D extension here, and potentially breaking that level of 83,415. Just from a fundamental perspective with the data from the pound today, we'll see what happens with the rate cuts and such. For the ECB, right? But that could be a catalyst for this one to continue to drop to the downside. So we'll just sit and watch and see how things develop here and see if we get that continued movement down. Okay. 1 second. All right. So that's on the 4 down to the 1. Did that get there? I'm just trying to double check this move down. 83,963. Okay, yep. So that did hit the D extension there. So we'll remove that. And we'll run a new fib off of this high. You see, right? Once we broke this cloud, we never broke back above. Right? So we've been moving to the downside consistently. So here on the 1, net pullback and retest of that level that it just broke gave us a 618 retracement, and now we're headed back down. So either we'll get a double bottom and push back up, or we'll head to the D extension, which would be in line with that 4-hour move. Right? So just looking at this one and watching to see how things develop here. But like I said, from a higher time frame perspective, we could be in for this one to move to the downside. So I'm just going to allow this one to continue to go, do its thing. And then once we get to 83,415, then we'll take a look and see if we have the potential for a move back to the upside. Okay. So those are my thoughts on the Euro GBP. Like I said, I'm not trading this one right now, but just watch it and see how things move. Okay, see how things move. It's been moving relatively well, right? Didn't get a retracement there, but you got a beautiful one there. Then you got your normal consolidation, and now we're pressing back down to the downside. So continue to monitor it there. No, something's happening in my background, man. I don't know what that noise is, but I'll figure it out when we get done. But no questions on the Euro GBP. Sweet. So Euro Yen, right? And we also got that pressed down with the Euro Yen as well. Just again, it's interesting because the Bank of Japan has not done anything, right? But we are at extremely high levels. I do agree with the Bank of Japan here, right? All-time highs here, boom. And we're getting a reaction. The question is 169,852. Do we break back below that level? Okay. So here on the weekly, right? The extension, once this week closes, we'll get a new AB boundary. That'll be like this. No, I'm sorry, next week. Once next week closes, if it closed bearish, we'll have a new AB boundary like that on the weekly. So it makes sense for reaction at this level because it's an extremely high level and we reach the extensions, right? So it makes sense, but the question is obviously just how deep does that retracement go? Okay, because you got a D extension on the weekly and you had your D extension on the daily. So pressing down, trying to break back below 171,544, which is a previous high here. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see if we're able to close on the daily below this level. If we are in for this full reversal to come, right, I still would like price to come back and retest these levels here. Right, I would like to see price pull back, retest this area that it broke out from. Make this a little thicker. Excuse me, retest the levels that price is moving from, and then continue to the downside. That's what I would like personally, right? I'd like to see that action there and see that continue to move to the downside. So we'll watch and see if we do get that. But it's going to call for prices to move back to the upside, which it sounds like the Bank of Japan isn't too keen on at the moment. And this is where we are on the 4. Still not sure. Not sure why this fib hasn't popped in yet, but on the 4, we do have a cloud break, right? And we're bearish ahead. So this is a signal that we're headed down, right? Outside of the consolidated move here, we got this bearish candle close, right? So, like I said, I'm definitely watching this, but I would like to see a pullback first before I get in this short. Okay. So watching that there, right? Like I said, I'd love to see this action first before this full continuation down. So fingers crossed. We'll see. Down on the 1, getting close to this AB boundary now. I know we're watching this here at the 786 retracement level, getting close to this A boundary at 7722. Yeah. 7734. So we just missed that A boundary, but we're getting close to taking that A out, right? So again, right, we might get another push down to take that A out and get to that level, and then maybe see this reset and then a move down. So we'll watch and see how this moves here, right? It's just shy of that D extension. So we'll see what happens, but don't be surprised if we push off the support level and move back to the upside. And be moving to the upside as we move into rate statement for the yen in 2 weeks. So that's where we are. Nothing happening right now. It's pressing down. Definitely interested to see if it continues to press down or not. So we'll watch that there. All right. Excuse me. And then we'll see what happens with Christine Lagarde as well, right? If she comes out more hawkish, then we definitely could see a rally in these euros. So we'll watch. Questions on the euro yen? Oh, all right. Euro NZD. Had it set up in the community here as well. And this one is interesting because, yeah, exactly. Exactly. That setup was here on the 1, and we got a spike up to that level. Boom. The spread took me out on this one. I had a little bit of a wider stop out to that daily level. And with this one, around 5 o'clock, that spread gets crazy. And the spread took me out of it, even though it did hit the D extension, took out the D extension on the fib. But overall, I am still looking for this one to move to the downside from a longer term perspective. So I was looking forward to this 80-20 being the initiation of that move down, but it didn't. So here we are. Okay. Um, we did then get a move back down, pull back, and we'll see if we're able to get this continuation to the downside and break of the cloud. But moving back down to the downside there, we come to not a ton here, but the stochastic is in the sell zone, right? We broke above previous levels of daily resistance. So it would be interesting to see if we're able to get that continuation down here. So some of these euro pairs are setting up for moves down against the euro. It'll be interesting to see the statements from Christine Lagarde uh, in where it pushes. You're able to stay in. Okay, sweet. And where the rate decision and the press conference push price. Because some of them are kind of mixed, right? Some of them are at high levels and some of them are at low levels. So I'm curious to see how things move here, right? And so on the 4, you got a fresh beat boundary, and that was a push down. So, excuse me, guys. So we'll see how this develops, man. We'll see how this develops. But I am over the long term looking forward to move to the downside. It's just a matter of if things line up fundamentally. Right now, they're kind of backwards for me on this pair because you got a stronger euro than New Zealand dollar, and you got data supporting rate cuts for the New Zealand dollar. So, watching it from a fundamental perspective to see if things start to shift at any point. So that's where we are. We probably this is your new fib here on the 1. So you're sitting at a deep retracement level. Do you press up to get to 8107 or I'm sorry, 181.025? Or do we just turn over and continue moving down and take out the A? All right. So watching this one now to see how it evolves as price moves. All right. So sitting tight there. Questions on the Euro NZD? Kudos to you, Jordan. Great work. 79,640. All right, so you're gonna a little bit of profit there. Cool. Great work. So that's the Euro NZD. The crown pattern on the weekly is still intact. We'll see if it stays that way. Euro dollar. We're breaking above this daily level now. See if we're able to close this way, right? So we got another level of daily resistance that we're headed to here. In there, right? So we got a cluster of daily resistance that we're moving into now as we're breaking this level here at 109. So we'll see as price continues to push to the upside. We do have a stochastic still in that sell zone. So we'll see where price goes, but strong bullish action to the upside right now, right? Just like that DXY, strong bearish action to the downside. So we'll watch and see how things evolve there. I don't know if this is an actual pattern or not, so we're gonna check it out. Yep, got to push a little bit further to go to that butterfly. That's what I thought. Yeah, so it'll be more of a butterfly pattern here if we get that push to the upside. So we'll watch that as well. All right, getting to that next level of daily resistance. So we'll watch and see if that pattern forms also. Okay, so that's on the daily. Down to the 4. There's that deep retracement that we looked at yesterday. So got that level. Excuse me, guys. So now we'll see. Drop these other daily levels down. Now we'll see if we take out that A. Okay. See if we take out that A. But strong press to the upside right now, so we'll watch that and see how things go. Overall, I'm still bearish on this. Still my bias over the long term, but we'll see if things play out in my favor or not. I'm in that parity camp. I think at some point we do get this back to parity, so we'll watch and see how things evolve, though. All right, so we're pressing to the upside there right now. Come down to the 1. We got our shallow retracement pushed into that 118 and 127 zone with that strong bullish action. Even if we get to this daily resistance level, it stays inside that D extension. So I'm going to continue to monitor this. And you see we didn't get that cloud break, right? Price pressed down, then moved sideways, and then we got the reversal back to the upside. So now we got an 80-20 scenario. Now we would like to see, obviously, price settle in, move sideways, and then see if we can get a cloud break or a trend line break. Okay. We'll see if we get things to align here. Watch and see. Okay. That's the euro dollar. Any questions here? Nope. Okay, cool deal. Take a look at a couple of these others that we posted in the community. Looked at the Euro NZD, looked at the Euro CAD, Aussie NZD. Another one that kind of got a little bit of a spike and then turned over, right? That indecision action, and now we're pressing down to the downside. That's on the daily time frame. So on the 4, right, that just pushes firmly into that 118, 127 zone, and then you see price turning over and making its way down. Right, so that one is headed to the matching extension. We'll see. Excuse me. We'll see what happens as we move through the day today, and into this evening with the data for the Aussie. But we're headed down now, right? So this one is playing out in our favor currently, headed to the matching extension at 110. I'm sorry, to the 382 at 110. And we'll see if that moves even deeper. So that's on the 4. On the 1, we also had an 80-20 scenario, and we're pushing out of that zone, break of the cloud, retest of the cloud, and now we're continuing down. Right, so this one is moving in our favor. took its time, had some interesting reactions here, but 65 pips to the good. All right. So that's where we are on this Aussie NZD. Questions here? No. All right. Cool deal. That's all I have for today, guys. Do you guys have any pairs that you want me to take a look at? And we can take a look at those before we wrap it up. Some of those anyway. Now it's Aussie dollar gold. All right, let's look at Aussie dollar since we're sitting right here in the Aussies, and then we'll flip over to the other side. So got to swing high on the daily. Boom. Inside the AB boundary, right? We're coming back and we're retesting this 67,108. So it's a question of, are we able to break that and continue moving down? We got a stochastic moving out of that sell zone, right? Approaching that midline, closer to that buy zone there. All right, cool. So we're turning over. The question is, can we break back below that 67,108? Here on the 4, moving down, haven't broken that cloud yet. Definitely would like to see that cloud break on the 4, but that's just your fresh AB boundary there and a move down. On your 1 is where you had your 80-20 scenario, right? And this pullback pushed us right back to that 118 level. But you see, so on the daily, we had that swing high form, and you see we got a cloud break and a trend line break here, and we've been moving back down to the downside. So now we got a pullback, right? Decision, indecision, decision, evening star pattern here. Now see if we get some continuation to the downside on this, right? But that 80-20 is playing out for us here on that move, just pushed a little bit higher. So we are getting some movement to the downside. And this is another one. Overall, my bias is bearish, right? And this is potentially the start of a move to the downside for us, right? So moving down, looking for this one ultimately to continue to the downside, right? 56 pips, sitting at 30 right now. But ultimately looking for a longer term continuation and the C to D move on that daily fib, right? Looking for this action to continue, but got to break this level first. We'll go level by level on this one to the downside. Okay. So we'll see if we get some continuation there. But my bias on this overall is to the downside. All right. What are you seeing on this one, JC? Same. Okay. Cool beans. So that's where we are.
Yeah, I was looking to play a bear, but I'm just trying to figure out how to get in.
The entry.
And I just
Yeah.
realized my fibs were off too, so thanks.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. Absolutely. So entry on this. If we get another push
Yeah,
to the
that's where I had
upside,
my fibs at going down from
going
that
down.
high. I didn't have them going up, so yep.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's cool though, right? So
I didn't
now,
see that first 82.
oh, the 80-20 here. Yeah. But that's cool though, right? So now it's just, okay, do we get, right? Do we get price to push into our sweet spot? Do we get a high enough price here
Mm.
to meet our rules to get short? right? So that's what we'd be looking for there.
I also wanted to ask too. Oh, sorry.
Well, you okay? Go ahead.
With the cloud, if I wanted to play that, where would I put a stop? What part of that cloud?
If you're
Or
playing a
is
cloud break,
it? Yeah.
so if you're playing a cloud break, and just not looking at it from a fib perspective, you could place it so just off the original. Let me clean this up so we can look at it. So just off of the original move here, right? I'm just going to take the fib out so we can see it clear. Um, off this original move off the high here, right? You got your cloud break here, right? So say you took your entry at the close of this bearish candle here, right? Um, purple line is your entry. Okay. Boom. You can place your stop either above the cloud or above the high. I like, this is just my personal preference. I like placing my stop above the high, and generally I'll come above the highest point. But I like doing that just because sometimes you do get sometimes I've seen you get a break of the cloud and then you'll get a pullback, kind of like consolidation. But when we're getting that transition, especially with a swing high on the daily time frame, price doesn't come back to take out that high, right? And so you'll get a deeper pullback. And if that stop is above the cloud, and the way I look at it is the stop above the cloud being like the stop being above or below the C, right? You might get stopped out a little bit more frequently when that transition is just starting, opposed to placing it above the high, which you can kind of equate to like the A boundary, right? But either of those positions works, right? Again, depending on your risk tolerance and if you get stopped out, being able to take a look back at it, not emotionally, and then say, okay, this is still looking to move in my favor. This is just a pullback, right? So for me, I like to put it out of the way so that I don't have to deal with that emotional part. But yeah, those are the two options on the cloud there. Make sense?
Yeah. But if I wanted to play where it is now,
Where it is now?
and if I wait until price clears the Tkinson and the Kijinson, do I still use that same level as a
Um, so in this scenario, because if we do get this retracement here, it might be a break back above the cloud. So you kind of
mhm,
be a little bit off on your movements here because you may not have a
okay.
bullish cloud to then look for a bearish cloud reversal, right?
Mhm.
But on this one, I would use the high as either the high or the AB boundary on the fib,
Okay.
something like that or like that as my stop in this scenario, right? Because you could press above that cloud and that would throw the cloud portion off in this movement here.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Thanks.
Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions? No. All right, cool deal. This is a nice 80-20 move to the upside though. Also. Ba, 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 ba. To the NASDAQ. Ooh, nice breakdown. Let's see. Clean this up just a little bit so we can see what's happening here. AB boundary, price breaking down. Trend line break, bearish, headed to the downside, stochastic pushing down into the buy zone. All right, all right, all right. We also have that's a level of daily support that we're trying to break through here and move to the downside. And then we have this resistance level here. Boom. So there we go. Right, break trend line break, pressing down on the daily off of an AB boundary, coming to the 4. Took out the A there. Headed down. So the 618 retracement there, headed to the downside to the matching D extension. So we'll probably get there. 19,813. And then we could continue down 19,500. So this is moving to the downside. Moving to the downside, even on the 1. Yeah, this is headed down. Headed down. 618 retracement there and matching the extension. Same as on that 4, 19,813. Could get a pullback and then a continuation here. All right. Strong move to the downside at some point and see if you get a pullback. And then a push. Yeah, I see that moving down. Continuing to move down. All right. And then we'll see what happens at 19,500. 19,510. Okay. Questions? That one is pretty simple. Right. If you were watching this and this is a beautiful ABCD wave here. Right. 618 retracement, breakdown. So it's in that down push zone. You're welcome. All right. And then let's take this quick look at gold. Oops, didn't mean to change that. Whoops. Gold is what I'm looking for. There we go. Running. Uh, Ultimately, this was going to get to 2,600, right? It's just a matter of the path to get there. But let's clear this out, right? You see we're headed long. 50% retracement. Boom. Move to the upside. Stochastic in the sell zone. Broke that B boundary, right? Broke this daily resistance level. 2637 is the goal, right? So ultimately looking for pullbacks and continuations on this one. So moving along there. Down on the 4. That comes all the way back. So we're running from here. Boom, same thing. 50% retracement headed to the upside. Okay, so we're pressing long. Could be in for a retracement for sure. But then if you're looking for low prices to get back long. So that's on the 4. Now on the one, see what they look like. Yeah. So those got taken out. So we'll move here to this last leg to the upside. Boom. Pullbacks and continuations. Strong move to the upside here. See if we get a pullback there. Rishu said 80-20 on the 30-minute. Let's see that. Yeah, boom. All right. Bingo. Appreciate you, sir. Pushed out of the zone there. Boom. And then, like I said, looking for low prices, 618, 786, 86 retracement, and then looking for a continuation back to the upside. Definitely looking for gold to get to 2,600. Right. So this is all low prices to get back long. But you can play these retracements in the meantime. Retracements in the meantime. So good eye there. Appreciate you. Look for that action. All right. Cool deal. And then you said S&P, and we'll wrap things up there. $80.20 on the daily. See something here. Yeah. So last time I looked at this chart, that's what we're looking for. So we finally push into that 118, 127 zone, and we're trying to turn over. Come down to the 4. Pull this out now. 1 second. There we go. All right. So we got that push to the upside like we wanted. And now the extension got taken out. Draw the manual fib, which is extended. Whoops. The extension achieved there. First swing high to form is there. Boom. So there's your 80-20 on the 4 as well. So similar to that daily time frame, stochastic still high in the sell zone. I like it. I like it. Let's go to the 1. See if we can run a fib off the low. Man, beautiful moves in here, man. Beautiful moves. All right, let's see. There we go. There's the 80-20 there. Just wick that 118 level, turn it over. All right. See if you get a pullback and a continuation. So stochastic in the buy zone, pressing down. Got the action that we're looking for, good people. Got the action that we're looking for. Now we're looking to move this thing to the downside. It broke the cloud. Did your fib pop in on that, Reese? Mine, I'm not sure why mine isn't. George said we're breaking the cloud. Interesting. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Cloud break. Moving down. I like it. Higher time frame. We got what we're looking for, 80-20. Breaking the cloud. Got the Kumo twist, TK crossover, lagging span is breaking through price. Right. At some point, let's see if we can come back and retest that cloud. If we get that action, I might get in this one short. Good work, good people. Teamwork makes the dream work. Love it. I love it. 80-20 buy on the 30. 80-20 for the pullback. This is what Reese is looking at right here. This falls in line with what we're looking for. Donette's in it short already. Beautiful. Hey, great work, Reese. I love it. I love it. I love it. It dropped some sevens for Donette and Reese. Boom. 80-20. There you go. Reese said 80-20 on the 30-minute is a gold mine. I love it. I love it. There's the action. Questions on anything that we covered this morning? No, no questions. All right, good people. Got some setups. You guys identified some setups. Let's go get it, man. Let's go get it. We know what we got to do. When price meets your rules, pull the trigger. When it meets your rules, pull the trigger. All right. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session with my awesome partner, Mr. Ben Allen. You guys have a phenomenal Wednesday. Go find your 1%. Peace.